Hello everybody, welcome or welcome back to my channel. Happy New Year. This is, I believe, the first video of the new year going up on my channel, and I am really excited about. I'm going to be going through my bookish ins and outs for 2024, and also we're going to be doing my TBR for January as well. I was about to say December then. So before we get into choosing my TBR from the jar, I'm going to tell you my ins and outs for this year. Overall, like, I'm pretty happy. Actually, no, I'm really happy with how my reading went last year. I had the majority, like 4 and 5 star reads. That's something I don't think has happened since I first got back into reading, like straight out of high school after not reading for years and years and years. I'm not sure what happened exactly, but for the majority of my books to be like a positive rating, I'm really happy with it. And I only had one star, and I only had a few 2 stars as well, which I'm pretty happy with. So first up, I really want to have a focus on finishing book series this year. I am going to be doing a full video on this, and we'll probably make it a bit of a series on my channel this year as well. But I am in the middle of a lot of book series, some of which I probably won't necessarily continue, but the ones that I'm still invested in, like, it's still a lot. So I really just want to get some of them out of the way. Next, I want to try and post 1 video a week. Now, I feel like in the second half of 2023, I was getting okay with this. And I know that's like not a lot compared to a lot of other booktubers, but there is something that I've really struggled with in the past few years with my booktube channel. And it's kind of like an ongoing problem for me. It's just like feeling really uninspired or not finding like a lot of joy in the content I make. I feel like I did improve with that in 2023, which I'm really happy about, and I do want to continue that this year as well. But I do want to try and make a recommendations video a month, some other sit down video, even if it's like a TBR or wrap up or whatever, and I want to try and do at least 1 vlog a month. We're gonna see with that one, because I really love making reading vlogs. I think they have become one of my new favorite forms of content to make, and I really want to do more. The next goal is to buy less books. On one hand, I do think I am quite intentional with most of my book purchases, because I do add things to like a wish list, and then if I'm still really wanting to read them in a month or 2 after I add it to that wish list, then I will, you know, start looking around and trying to buy it. But in saying that, on the opposite end of that, I have a really bad habit, and it really kind of took place last year, where I would just go for a little browse in like Big W or like an op shop or something like that, and I would just buy like a book that I was semi excited about, or that I'd seen a lot of hype about, and I would buy it because it was really cheap at the time. But then it obviously adds up really quickly, because I would do that far too often. So I do want to continue being intentional with most of my book purchases, obviously, but I do really want to cut back on the amount that I buy from sort of on impulse from like the big department stores and stuff like that, just because, like, one, it's not helping my bank account, it's not helping my TBR, and it's just like not in line with the rest of my buying habits for books, and so I really want to stop that. So maybe that's an out for me. That can be an in and an out. My next in is to DNF more and be a little bit harsher with my critiques. And this one is interesting because I feel like I am quite a critical reader, even with the books I love, and I don't necessarily articulate myself the best in booktube videos, or I feel like I don't know if that's what you think, but I feel like I could do better with a lot of stuff like that. And I do find that I will just try and power through a really shitty book and not DNF it, and I really just like, I want to DNF more. And I know I didn't have that many 1 and 2 star reads last year, but like ideally I wouldn't even have a 1 star read, because I would just like stop reading the book if I'm not enjoying it. Next is to read more before bed. Now, I already read a little bit before bed, and I read throughout the day as well in my spare time, but I really want to like have a little routine where I start winding down a little bit earlier, and I want to read at least like 20 pages before bed. It's not a lot, and it doesn't need to be a lot. I just want to like get into the habit of like not mindlessly scrolling on my phone before bed, or like being so like exhausted and tired before bed that I'm like practically falling asleep sitting up, and I actually want to like wind down and lay down and read a book and then fall asleep. And then I really kind of, this again like links back to being more mindful of my purchases. I already have an enormous TBR. It is actually ridiculous, and I'm a little afraid to count it, and I'm a little afraid of moving house later this year if that ends up happening. But I really want to read more on like audio and like ebooks, or borrow from my library a lot more before I actually purchase a book, even if I'm really excited for it. If I end up like reading it from the library or on ebook or audio or whatever, and then if I really like it, then I'll buy it. And I'm hoping that means there's less on my physical TBR as well. I waste less money on books that I don't actually end up loving as much as I hope to. And lastly, I do have a page reading goal for this year, and ideally, if it was a perfect world, I would read 100 pages a day, like as a goal. But if I'm being realistic, between full-time work and, you know, doing everything else in my life as well, some days I just don't read that much, and then other days I'll read more than 100 pages. So my goal is to read 500 pages a week, and I think that gives me room to, let's say the other day I read 200 pages of a book, and then the next day I read 20 pages. Like that literally happened this week. So I think having like a weekly page reading goal would be really good for me, and that way it's like flexible but still like a little bit of challenge. And I feel like that works out to be like 1 to 1.5 books a week roughly. So I think that's a nice round reading goal while still aiming to read more as well. Then my outs for this year is to, first of all, stop getting distracted by my phone. And by my phone I mean my silly little mobile games and TikTok, because if I'm being completely honest, like I said before, I get distracted a lot by this. I've just found myself picking up my phone probably more than I have in the past, honestly, and it is purely due to like silly games and whatnot that I don't need to be playing like as often as I do. Like I don't mind it, like I'm not gonna stop completely, but like I don't need to be picking up my phone and wasting so much time on it when I do actually want to be doing other things anyway, and I just don't for some reason. Next is to stop buying books or entire series that I'm not going to read straight away just because they're cheap. That sort of relates to the inn that I was talking about before. And I also want to stop using my phone too much first thing in the morning. Ideally, I would like to stop picking up my phone first thing every single morning, and maybe even just read like 5 pages of a book. Like it doesn't have to be a lot, but like, or even just like get up and make breakfast, or just anything except for like scroll on my phone first thing when I wake up in the morning. And then finally, I really need to stop getting to editing my videos so late. You guys obviously don't see this or know this, but there are so many vlogs that I have filmed in 2023 that just never saw the light of day. And some of them were because I didn't like them, but a lot of them were just because I did not get around to editing them until it was far too late, and they were irrelevant by the time that I kind of felt like editing them. So I do enjoy editing. It's just like, I gotta actually just do it straight away instead of like procrastinating doing it. So they are all of my ins and outs for this year, for 2024. Let me know down below what are your bookish ins and outs, or even your non-bookish ins and outs. Like, just let me know. I love seeing other people talk about what they want to do and what they want to stop doing in the new year. And next we're going to get into my TBR jar. So speaking of reading goals, I've been picking 10 in the past few months, and I have actually really enjoyed 10 as a number, but this month I do have a few that I want to read, and the latest Crescent City book comes out at the end of the month, and I know it's like at the very end of January, but that is probably all I'm going to be reading for at least those few days, or like as soon as it comes out. So that's going to be a big priority for me. So I'm going to choose 5 books from here and we'll see how I go. So the first prompt is, oh, it's a bookcase one. So bookcase 2, shelf 3. So that is this shelf here, and shelf 3, which is basically my romance shelf. Okay, let's have a look. I've actually read a decent amount of the books on that shelf, but I'm going to go with X's and O's by Amy Lee, just because I know this is either like book 1 or 2 in a series of companion novels, and I think it's like the influencer series or something like that, where all of the main characters are influencers for something. And I don't know too much about them, but I know the next installment in this sort of series of novels comes out this year, and I do actually want to read something of hers just in case I do want to end up getting that later on. So I think I'm going to try and read X's and O's because I've been eyeing it off for a while. I've been meaning to read something by Amy Lee for a while as well. I think she has another book as well. I want to say it's like Set on You. I think it's like a gym one, but before I potentially get to the rest of the series, I want to see how I feel about her writing. So the second prompt, here we go. Oh my god, okay. Any romance. That is so broad. I could, oh my god, I don't even know where to start with this. What am I currently reading? Oh, I know. So I'm going to go with Addicted After All by Krista and Becca Ritchie, and this is the 3rd book in the Addicted series. I have read the first 2 and they weren't like my favorite, but I am pretty invested in the characters at this point, and I do really want to try and read the entire series this year. Like, that is, I guess, another one of my goals, but not a broad general goal of mine. But I have already started reading this technically. I'm not that far into it, but I'm gonna officially add it to my TBR because this is the 3rd book in Lily and Lo's series, and I think after this is the Calloway sisters books. I gotta check the reading order, but I'm going to read the 3rd book anyway. Then for the 3rd prompt, it is a 2-word title. Oh my god, what is a 2-word title? Oh no. Oh, I know. Okay, so I'm going to go with Daisy Hates by Jessa Hastings. This is another series that I really want to continue with this year. I read Magnolia Parks last year. Wasn't like an all-time favorite, but I did enjoy it, and I do want to see how I go with the rest of the series before I potentially get the rest, similar to the other books that are in this pile so far. But this one follows Daisy Hates instead of Magnolia Parks, and it's basically like this whole series is sort of Gossip Girl vibes, and it's very toxic. It's rich people drama. It's very complex people doing bad things slash good things and just hurting each other. And honestly, like, it is very, very toxic. But I do really want to see how I go with this 2nd installment and see if I like Daisy Hates better than the 1st book. And that's not to say I didn't like the 1st book. I'm just curious to see how I feel about the series overall. So I think I'm going to continue with that one as well. Also in line with my 2024 goals. Oh no, one fell out. I'm gonna go with this one. Oh, okay. So this prompt is to read a book that is 250 pages or under. Oh, okay. Ooh. So for this prompt, I'm going to go with The Woman in the Library by Hilary Gentile. This was on my anticipated reads of last year, I'm pretty sure, but I didn't get around to reading it. And this one is exactly 250 pages, or it's like 249 plus a, oh, I almost just spoiled myself. Plus a little tiny paragraph at the end. Wow, I can't believe I did that. So this is a mystery, and this is set in a library where 4 strangers end up sitting at the same table. They all end up hearing a blood-curdling scream in the library and find that a woman has been murdered, and one of them is the murderer. And we don't know who did it or how they did it, but I'm very intrigued, and it's really short, and I have been wanting to read more thrillers anyway. So this one's already on my physical TBR, and it's a short book and it fits the prompt, so I'm gonna go with this one. All right, we got one more. So, ooh, okay. Oh my god, this is perfect. Okay, so this one is to pick any YA book, which is just excellent because I'm currently reading Once Upon a Broken Heart, which is a YA fantasy. Look, I'm not gonna lie, this is like the book that I read 200 pages of in a day, like recently, and I'm having so much fun with it. So I'm going to include this one, but I'm also going to include a ballad, or The Ballad of Never After as well, like just in case I finish this one. But like, I'm having so much fun reading this. It is so whimsical so far. I feel like everybody has read this already now. It's a completed trilogy, and I saw a lot of hype for it last year and like when it first came out, and it's been on my radar for a while. So I finally picked it up, and yeah, I'm having the best time with this book. So I'm gonna add this book slash the next book to my TBR for this prompt. Oh my god, that's so perfect. I'm so happy. So these are the books that I'm hoping to definitely get to this month. I'm going to try and read more than this, and I'm sure I will let you know in my January wrap up. But these ones are definitely on my radar anyway, and I'm actually really excited about all of these. Like, I'm really happy with this. So I will leave it there, but thank you so much for watching. Let me know down in the comments below what your goals are and what are your first reads of the new year as well. Like, let me know what's going on with your reading life. I'd love to know, love to talk it out. But yeah, thank you so much for watching. I hope you have a fantastic day or night wherever you are, and I will see you all next time. Bye.